Welcome to the Magic Lighthouse Podcast. For those of us who are aware that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, the Magic Lighthouse is your mystical pit stop, your spiritual tune-up, your place to pause, reflect, and realign with the next phase of our journey. Join me, Violet Conce, on this adventure to harmonize and amplify the light within ourselves and each other as we raise the consciousness of the planet, one conversation at a time. Thank you for being here and sharing your light with us. Enjoy. Tara is founder of The Right Gal, and she's a creative copywriting expert and a professional editing magician. I'm adding the magician part, but she really is. She's a wordsmith. She weaves in magic with every letter she writes, and I'm so grateful to have her on my team. She's been helping me write things and helping me find my business voice and clarifying my message. And that's what we're here for, is how do you find your business voice and clarify your message? Tara's here to help us with that. Thank you so much for joining us, Tara.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So basically, whenever I work with clients who are in the business sphere, there seems to be kind of a disconnect or a barrier between what it is they want to communicate to customers and what their customers hear. So I term that as finding your business voice and clarifying your message. A lot of people, their message is just too long, too wordy. They think a little too much about it. And when their client reads it or receives it, because sometimes we're watching it or whatever medium it comes through, their message is actually lost. And that's, of course, one of the biggest assets to your business is being able to talk to your customer. So everything you do in business is talking to your customer, whether it's through ads, commercials, YouTube, podcasts, website, blogging, social media. I mean, there's a multitude of channels, but they all boil down to words. If someone's searching for you on Google, they're going to find you by the words. If they're on your website, they're going to go through the content and the language on your website, and that's going to steer them ultimately toward purchasing your service or product. Email, of course, that's an easy one. Those are actual words you're writing to your audience. Why is this important? Well, it's important because people have a limited attention span. We're all very busy and we're bombarded by options. So a lot of times, if your message is just too long or unclear, you might have the best product, but you're going to miss out on the customer. They're just going to go to somebody else who says it faster and clearer, even if it's an inferior product. So I was looking through some statistics about that. And there are some polls with like the bigger, more successful brands like Best Buy, Walgreens, Salesforce. Like they have teams and teams of marketers, right? And people that are really working on clarifying like their brand and their message. And 88% of their marketers believe that brand language is what connects them to customers. So what they're saying, not what they're providing, not what they're selling, but what they're saying is what connects them to customers. And then 90% of them believe that brand language is the most important thing to their success. So you can see why this is like such a big deal for businesses. A common thing also when clients come to me for help with finding their business voice and clarifying their message is they've fallen into a trap of like inauthentic being. They'll think that they have to say things or present things in a way that they fit in with everybody else in the sphere. And while to some degree, there are like standard practices, if you just sound like everybody else, you also don't stand out. So nobody's going to remember you. In the sea of businesses that are out there, you do want to be unique. And the easiest way to be unique is honestly just to be yourself, to be authentic, find that voice, because there's only one you.
How did you get started in the world of writing?
So writing for me was always just something that I found myself in. Like it always came easy to me. I wrote a lot as a child. I wrote a lot of poetry. I would do like little short story books just for fun. When I started in school, I actually thought that I was going to pursue a career. Oh, Here's
Your
my
dog.
dog wanting.
Your dog's talking.
Yeah. I thought I was going to pursue a career in the sciences. So I've always had just like a really profound respect and interest in science and metaphysics and physics and philosophy. And, you can write within any of those. But I constantly, like, no matter what I did, just was brought back to writing, like, again and again. And finally in college, I had a professor that like was trying to give me the real talk, and he was like, so here's the deal. He's like, you're really great at like theoretical physics. Like you understand concepts and you can explain them to people, but you suck at math. Like you're really terrible. Like NASA does not want to depend on you to solve mathematical equations. Like that's real. And I was like, and he was like, so maybe you should think about writing science textbooks. Like you're really an effective communicator. And so I kind of was like not sure how to get into that. I mean, that there's no like science textbook degree program. So I started taking more English courses and journalism courses. And I just like fell in love with journalism. I was like, oh, this is what I could do. I can be a science journalist because I can talk to the scientists or the mathematicians or the engineer, whatever the people coming up with these things are, and convey that so that everybody else can understand and be excited about the new technology. And then as I kind of went on from there, I became a journalist. I started writing for a small newspaper called the Baytown Sun. And then I was hired by the Houston Chronicle. That was like the biggest newspaper I worked for. And that was, well, they're big. They're the third largest in the nation. But I found it wasn't so much that I was interested in just science, but I really loved interviewing people that just had interesting things to share, and then taking their story and curating that in a way that other people could enjoy too. Like I just got so much satisfaction. I interviewed like this guy doing cool beekeeping stuff, different, like I interviewed a psychic that was really cool. I went to like a nuclear facility and like interviewed the people that worked there. Like there's just so many interesting people. Oh, this like guy who trained a dog to like light rockets. I mean, just like really cool, crazy, interesting stuff. And I got out of journalism and kind of branched off on my own. I did some other things and I came back to writing again. And now I have my company and I'm doing the same thing that I did as a journalist. I'm helping people take their stories or their message and deliver them to the world. That I'm the in-between message, world, me right here.
I love it. And then where do you do this out of? Like where do you live? What kind of lifestyle you got?
I'm an RV nomad. So where I'm at in the world is ever changing. I'm currently stationary. I'm house sitting for a friend. I'm in Detroit, Michigan, which is where I'm from. I went to Wayne State University here in Detroit. So it's been cool being back, but I'm also getting like stationary itch. I'm like ready to go out and explore because just like sharing everybody's stories, I really love meeting people. Like I love going into just a completely new place where I don't know anybody and going out and doing crazy things by myself and like meeting really cool people.
That's how we met. I'm one of those cool people.
Yes, you're one of those cool people. I went by myself it was like a rock and gem show, which because I love that stuff. And Violet was there and I was just like wandering around looking at cool stuff and here we are.
Yeah, and my husband and I had a little booth. It was our first time ever having a booth at a gem show. And we were like, we just like made a bunch of, mostly he made a bunch of stuff within like 2 weeks. And we were there. And it was great because we met some cool people like you. And that was almost a year ago. Next month is the next gem show. Can you believe that?
Oh.
It's in Alpine, Texas. If anyone's in the area, if you want to drive
it's really
by
cool. It's really cool. You gotta go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's so cool. And then so finding your business voice and clarifying your message. So you have a lot of tips, a lot of wisdom in kind of narrowing down the verbiage, making things clear, making things, speaking in a certain tone. So let's hear about that.
Yeah. So first, there's two parts to like what I call a messaging style, and that's your voice and your tone. And it's important to know the difference between those. So the voice of your business is essentially like the personality of your business. So that's going to be like, your values, your perspectives, kind of like what you stand for, what you offer. The tone is more technical. That's going to be like your choice of words, the emotion behind them, the style. Like, for example, you can have a very formal style. You can have a very conversational style. And you want to make sure that the voice and the tone align with who you want to be. Because let's not look at it as like what you currently are, right? You're crafting this for who you want to be. So I wanted to share, I found like 2 commercials from big brands that I feel if you listen to these commercials or watch these commercials, because if you're watching, there's a visual. If you're listening, you just listen to the words. You can draw from these commercials who the brand is talking to by who they sound like the style of their voice, the different sounds, the different visuals. And I think that's just a really clear way of me conveying to you, the listener, what I mean by the importance of voice and tone, and knowing who your audience is and matching those to them.
I love it. Sounds good. So for copyright purposes, we're going to link the YouTube links in the show notes for these YouTube videos. So pause this episode, click on that link if you want to hear the commercial, and then Tara's going to give a little description about it afterwards if you can't do that quite right now, but you can always go back and just check out those commercials.
So basically what when I watch this DeWalt video, their commercial, like I immediately saw and heard. So the voice of the person speaking sounds very like tough and rugged. It's like obviously like a working kind of guy, right? And that's who they're selling their products to. Visually, if you can't see the commercial and you're just listening, they show workers. So there's like safety jackets, a work van, guys traipsing around in boots, there's machines, it's nighttime, it's raining. They're kind of emphasizing like the harsh conditions, because who DeWalt is marketing their product to are working guys. So everything about that commercial and the voice of that commercial, which is the voice of DeWalt in that commercial, speaks to a working guy. And that's essentially who they're embodying. Even in just like the style of speech, it's not like someone's like, hello, I'm from DeWalt, and I want to show you this lovely product that we have and give you statistics on it. Because that's not who they're selling to. They're talking directly to like the rugged working guy. Another example we have is from Domino's. And you probably saw this commercial during COVID. I thought it was really funny.
Okay, remember you guys, check the link in the show notes for this other commercial and then come back or listen to it when you get a chance. Tara's going to give you a little overview of what it's about, regardless.
So you could see the difference in the tone of voice between like Domino's and DeWalt, right? So Domino's, you have this like younger person. They sound very conversational, bright. They're having fun. This aired during COVID when everybody was alone in their house. So this guy is dancing around in his house with no pants on, having some fun, trying to lighten things up. He just doesn't want to have contact with anybody outside. So Domino's is going to like bring him his contactless delivery. And again, the voice of the commercial is a mirror of the voice of the people that the audience, the people that Domino's is targeting. So you can kind of see how those are very effective, and completely different messages and completely different audiences, but they speak directly to them. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, so you're developing your voice, your tone, or you're trying to figure out what that is. You can see how it's pretty important to know who your audience is, like who you're speaking to. And if you're an existing business, you probably know who your audience is just because you know who you interact with. Maybe you have an idea of like your general average person. If you're a new business, you might not actually know who exactly your audience is. And there's a website that I always find very useful when I'm doing any kind of like analytics for clients, and it's SEMrush. That's SEMRUSH. You can join, and I think you get like 10 or so like lookups for free. But basically you can put in your competitors or who you want to be competitive with, and it'll give you a breakdown of like the sex, age, geographic location, like other little things that are just useful to know about who is visiting that web. It's through web, so it's the website, but like essentially that translates to like product users. It's important to just kind of identify that, because sometimes people will think, well, my audience is me. But then when they actually start looking into the analytics, they, like, for example, like I'm an older millennial, right? My audience, I could think is me, but maybe it's actually Gen Z, and they communicate differently. Like Gen Z is more apt to use like emojis and like really short, like this, what I'm talking about is already probably too long for a lot of Gen Z. No offense, Gen Z, I love you. But then you have like, there's baby boomers who are like, they're going to want like more complete and punctuated sentences. It's just knowing who you're talking to. So once you know who you're talking to, then you got to have some, you got to gather some idea of your mission statement. So mission statement is just kind of like what you do. Like, for example, my mission statement for the Right Gal is to inspire, empower, and support you in sharing your message. Some other examples of mission statements are like, I thought Tesla has a pretty good one. It's to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Like that's exactly what I think of when I think of Tesla. Do you have a mission statement for the Magic Lighthouse?
I'm working on it with my wordsmith copywriting extra.
Got it.
It's a little lengthy, but
yeah,
we're narrowing it down.
Yeah, and that's important too, because if they're too long, it just, people kind of like glaze over and they don't see it. JetBlue, the airline, I love theirs. It's really short. It's to inspire humanity, both in the air and on the ground. Like that communicates so much, right, about what they stand for. And now when you're creating a mission statement, or if you have a mission statement and you're just not sure if it really has impact, a good thing to do, in my opinion, is to look at your favorite businesses and brands and look at theirs, look at their mission statement, look at just their general like way of operation. The three big things to kind of compare.
Can I interrupt you for a second? What's the difference between a mission statement and a tagline? Because I see those little like one sentence blurbs as taglines from my background in graphic design. And then a mission statement is like a sentence or two, or like a paragraph that like kind of expands. So
yeah, well, there can be overlap. I mean, it depends on your industry and business, but I would say a mission statement is like more core to your operations or what you stand for. A tagline is going to be something like quick for people to like remember, and it probably changes, depending on whatever it is that you're up to. Your mission statement should stay static throughout the course of your business, if that makes sense. And sometimes they are the same. I mean, you can have a really short mission statement, so it's not necessarily length, but I think just the objective of the words that distinguishes the two. And they can be the same and they can overlap, but yeah, did that answer your question?
Totally. It's like mission statement is kind of like the soul of the company.
Yeah.
Tagline is like the quick, you're at a glance and you can kind of get a glimpse of it. It's like looking into the eyes of the company, and then you can see through to the soul of the company if you want to get a little woo here. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like, for example, like with the Right Gal, so my mission statement, right, it's the whole sentence: to inspire, empower, and support you in sharing your message. If you look at like my marketing materials, my tagline, I guess you could say, would just be creative copywriting, and professional editing. Like it's much shorter, but that's what I think people remember. But my mission statement is like what I kind of go back to whenever I'm thinking about what I'm putting out there, or everything I do kind of aligns with that mission statement. But if you don't know what yours is, or you just aren't feeling it, like it's not sitting well with you, if you look at your favorite businesses or brands and ask, number one, how are they communicating to you? Like what medium just speaks to you personally? That's kind of important. That'll tell you, I think, where you are going to want to position yourself. The second is just, how does their message make you feel? Usually this would be like adjectives but this isn't a grammar lesson, so we'll just call them feeling words, right? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel understood? Do you feel excited? Do you feel challenged? Like, what is the feeling about that business or brand that draws you to them? And then the last thing is just kind of like note down what elements they're using to support their message. Like what is speaking to you? Is it the video, the music, the graphics? Is it the text? Like, is there text going across the screen? Like, look at several businesses or brands that you just like. They don't have to be in the same sphere as yours, and write those things down. How do they communicate with me? How does their message make me feel? What elements support their message? And see if you can find commonality. And then you probably will, because you have preferences with what you like, right? It could be shoes, it could be in the spiritual realm, it could be in cookware, I don't know, whatever things you're consuming. And those common threads are probably things that you want to bring into your own message. So if you know what those threads are and you don't currently have them incorporated, like any way that you're speaking to your customers, it's a good idea to sit down and think about why. Like, is it just because those things don't apply to your particular business messaging? Or is there something like you haven't thought of before? Can I give a brief example, like with the Magic Lighthouse? Okay.
Yeah, please.
So Violet and I were talking about, we were kind of doing this with one particular podcast. And something that I noticed was she likes this podcast and their intro was like a call to participation versus her current intro is explanatory. So stopping and thinking about, okay, well, I like, I being Violet, I like the this call to participate. Is that something that I want to implement into my business? And how could I do that? And if you have like your common threads and you're not sure if they are already existing in your business, or you just don't have any ideas of how you could implement them, I think that's when it's really useful to like look up a business cohort or a mastermind group, like the Sacred Business Mastermind group, and talk to other people. There are things that other people are going to see that you just might not see. And that's just invaluable. As entrepreneurs, we really need to bounce ideas off one another and support each other in the space. So
absolutely, it can be kind of lonely, and you can hit a lot of walls and blocks if you don't at least just like here, have a sounding board or community. So really important.
Yeah. So I also wanted to kind of just give a working example of clarifying your message. And I thought the best way to do this is actually just to like make up a business real quick, write something out, and I'm going to talk you through like the process that I would use if this person, it's going to be me, but let's say I'm coming to me and I'm like, here's my message, my mission statement. I feel like it's really long. I'm not really sure what to do with it. Help. So we have a little slideshow. Okay. So this is a make-believe business. This is Tara's pet sitting service. Okay. So Tara has come to me. She's already identified her audience. They're animal lovers, young professionals in their 20s and 30s, pet parents, busy people. She knows this because she's already in business. So these are just the consumers that she's serving. She's decided that the voice for her particular company needs to be caring and trustworthy. That's what she wants to convey. And then the tone, whenever she speaks to people, is conversational because it's just her, right? It's Tara just providing her service. So Tara's original mission statement was, I'm Tara, and I would love to put your mind at ease while you're away. You can trust that if I'm taking care of your pets, they'll be happy, safe, and secure. I will care for them like my own. So she feels like this is a little wordy, and I agree, but it has like kind of all the information in there. So what I would start doing is looking at her statement and just kind of seeing what I can remove. Just start playing with removing things that doesn't change the message. So the first thing I would remove is the I'm Tara, because this is Tara's pet sitting service, right? So who else is talking to you? So we can take that part out and we are left with, I would love to put your mind at ease. You can also take out, that's the next slide here, is while you're away, because we're talking to people that need pet sitting. So of course they're going to be away. You can go forward to edit 3. So I personally thought if you remove You can trust that if I'm taking care, there's really nothing lost. Like if you just read it like this, I would love to put your mind at ease. Your pets will be happy, safe, and secure. I will care for them like my own. Taking out, you can trust that if I'm taken care of, doesn't really change the essence of the message. So that's a good removal. I have another edit too. So edit 4. That's the your pets will be happy, safe, and secure. Because I kind of felt like if you just leave it as, I would love to put your mind at ease, I will care for them like my own, that's implied, right? It's understood. So what are we left with? Let's go to edit number 5. I would love to put your mind at ease, I will care for them like my own. So I think that's good, but I don't really think it's all necessary again. So yeah, I would take out, I would love to put your mind at ease, just because I kind of feel like that's implied. So then you're left with, I will care for them like my own. And then the last edit that I would suggest to Tara is to remove any passive language. Passive language is like speaking like hypotheticals into the future. So like, I will care for, I would care for, like I care for them is active and immediate. So we just take out the word will. We're left with, I care for them like my own, which sounds great, but then you also have to circle back and see what you have potentially taken out that did need to be there. And I would think with this being Tara's mission statement, we've actually taken out like who is them, which is the pets, right? And so just a quick reword, but adding back in pets, caring for your pets like my own. I think that that statement by itself communicates everything that Tara was trying to communicate with her whole, what was that, 1, 2, 3, like 4 sentence beginning. But it's very immediate and very effective. So that's how I would reword that for Tara. And I hope you can kind of see through that, like the process, which is just see what you can take out. And it's great using a computer because you can type it all up, you can strike it out, you can copy and paste and like just make a new sentence and then reread and reread and reread. Basically gut what you're trying to say until you get to the core of your message and then just reword it for clarity. And that's kind of that's the crux of clarifying your message. Take out all the excess.
Beautiful. I love that visual. I love seeing the process of elimination and then kind of adjusting, and it makes so much sense. Once you get to the end result, it's like, well, of course this was always the mission, but then in the beginning when you're first writing, it's like, oh, I have to write all these things and make it sound cool. And
yeah, and I think a lot of people get kind of lost too because you know, they're trying to convey so much, right? Like Tara, if you just go back to that, Tara's original statement, like she wants to put their mind at ease. She wants to talk about how they'll be like happy, safe, and secure. And those are all like great points, but they were just, they weren't really necessary. The caring for your pets like my own really communicates all of that, and people will read that and remember it. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel on clarifying your message. Just take all the stuff out. Just keep editing.
You know, that's a similar process to design, because so I've had my bachelor's in design. I worked in the corporate world for many years, and I still do it for my own, you know, I have my own clients and stuff. And I noticed, like, whenever I try to start with too many elements like visuals or text and images and effects, and then once I'll go through a few phases or iterations of design. And I'm like, it's not it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And then I'll just start over from zero, nothing. And then I'll slowly add just the bare essentials. And there's actually a quote. I forget the quote exactly, but it's about like good design is basically communicating something with the least amount of things. Let me see if I can find it. Quote.
I don't know the quote, but that's like exactly with writing. That's exactly with like your message and business and your voice. It's the same thing. Precision is like so important.
Yeah, I think
and that doesn't mean you have to use like big fancy words either. You know, that's not always precision, and that can confuse people also.
Yeah, I found a quote. It's not the one I was looking for, but simplicity is the ultimate sophistication by Leonardo da Vinci. So that's a pretty good quote, I think.
I like that.
Paring it down to the essence of what you do.
Yeah. The last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, and this is specifically talking to like conscious entrepreneurs. So we've gone over kind of like the technical, right? Like the different elements, like your voice, your tone, identifying your audience, like some examples of good commercials. You've seen like going through an editorial process. But I believe as like conscious entrepreneurs, we have an advantage because we can also ask our higher selves for guidance. So
Yes.
without going like too much into the metaphysical, it's just a belief that I have that once you want something or think it up, it has been created, like it exists on another timeline. And our higher selves have access to what has worked in that timeline. So you can ask. And there's 3 different brains that our bodies have. This is science. This is scientifically. You have like your mind, right? Which has 100 billion neurons. The neurons are like what fires. Those are the channels through which we think. Have you ever heard anybody say like, I had a gut feeling, or my heart told me?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Because those are also like brain centers. We have 500 million neurons in our gut, and we have 40,000 in our heart neurons. So those are thinking centers as well. Wow. So we think with our mind, we think with our heart, and we think with our gut. As a conscious entrepreneur, you don't know which of those 3 might be your most effective channel when it comes to talking to your higher self, or to your guides, or to, spirit, your creator of choice, etc. So I use all 3. So if I was working with Tara and I knew that she was in the conscious space, I would, for example, tell her, think about that mission statement that we just came up with, caring for your pets like my own. Think about it. And what do you feel in your gut? Like what, just think those words and feel into your gut and write down any sensations. For example, do you feel like a heavy feeling? Do you feel sick? Do you feel hungry? Do you feel like anxious butterflies? Any sensations, write them down. And do the exact same thing, but think about it in your heart. And think about, are you feeling like a tightness there? Do you feel an openness, eagerness, happiness, anything that comes to mind? And then also think about it just rationally, like how does that sound to you? For me personally, when all 3 of those things align, I know that I've hit the mark. I can't tell you how many times though, like in my head, I'll be like, this is a good idea. And then I start thinking about it with my heart and I just feel something constrict. So I know that there's something that like my higher self or my guides are telling me is off. And so I stop and I reevaluate. And the more that you use those 3 thinking centers, the more that you'll tune into your own sensations that mean like yes or no. And I think like the messaging will come through clearer. But it works really well for me. I recommend it to everyone. Our brain is just not the only way that we can communicate. So use the other ones too, and use them, all the time.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of our listeners will resonate with that. And that kind of gives more confirmation and more permission to take time to sit with these, your different decisions or this writing process and feel into it in the different parts of your body. Maybe even like reminder that we have neurons in our gut reminds me that like, oh, okay, if I'm eating processed foods and I'm not really eating very healthy, then is my gut able to tell me something accurately if it's good for me or not? Or, if I eat healthy, is that going to support the accurate, quote unquote, accuracy, or like that gauging of because some people don't feel like they can trust their gut. So that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But it's building that relationship, learning how does your gut communicate with you? How does your heart communicate with you? And then your mind, and then having those all harmonized. And I think once you have all 3, you can tell, but it takes practice. So you can start small, like, do I want a cup of coffee right now? Check in. Do I want to go for a walk? Check in. Oh, should I invest $300,000 into this house business? Check in.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good tip. And I think it's very resonant with our community here.
Yeah. And I think it also makes some of the stuff I talked about feel more approachable. Like if you're having trouble just like jotting, breaking things down or editing or jotting, just ask your higher self. It knows all. It can see all the timelines. It can really guide you. If you aren't seeing it with your mind, you're not seeing it, here as you, just take a break, take a deep breath, ask your higher self.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever do any higher self, like free writing?
Interestingly, that I've recently been getting into that. I've been told by like multiple people that I need to do automatic writing, right? They're like, just do it. Like, you're a channel, just do automatic writing, like answers will come to you. And the first time I did it, I was like blown away. I was journaling. I journal a lot, right? And I was just having one of those days where I wanted to sit down and write, but I felt like I didn't know where to start. So just started like kind of doodling and then like just writing down words. And then before I knew it, a vast amount of time had elapsed, and I looked back at what I wrote, and it was really powerful and like really applicable to some things that I had been struggling with. And it just seemed like it just came. So I think that was me tapping into that higher self-consciousness.
Absolutely. I love that. Ask your higher self if you're stuck. And if you don't have, community to bounce ideas off of, like, you always have your higher self. You have spirit, you always have God. We have a lot of our support beings, not just in the physical, but in the other realms, and also physical.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with today?
I don't think so. Just knowing, again, like if you set a goal, or if you just think of a possibility, just being secure in the knowing that it exists. Like, it has happened and it has worked successfully and is working successfully in a different timeline. So just remembering that no matter how far away, wherever you want to go is, there's a path to get there, and you have the power to figure it out. You have the power to ask how. So don't feel stuck. And if you are stuck, you can contact a wordsmith like me, and I can help you to get past whatever your blockages are, and just kind of like assist you. But you're ultimately the one that has all the power and all the answers.
Beautiful. And if people wanted to, what was that?
I said, you can do it.
Yes, you can do it. And if you do want Tara's help, if you want to connect with her, have a little consultation, how can they reach you?
You can start by going to my website, which is www.therightgal.io, and right is WRITE. Or you can email me, Tara@therightgal.io. I help people through any types of problems that they're having with words. So it doesn't have to be for your business. It can be for a personal project, a school project, a passion project, whatever it is you're trying to put together. If you need
writing a book,
you don't know where to start, if you have boxes and boxes of notebooks and you're pretty sure there's like a really good novel somewhere in there, I can help guide you and give you some framework and some tools for digging through, sorting through, and ultimately, helping you get your message out to the world. That's what I do. I inspire, empower, and support you in sharing your message, wherever that message is coming from.
Beautiful. And I definitely can sense a workshop coming up in the near future, maybe a Tara Violet Magic Lighthouse Right Gal collaboration. I think doing something like that would be really valuable. So if anyone sounds interested in something like that, stay tuned. If you're up for it, of course, Tara.
I'm up for it.
Awesome. And then about the whole timeline thing, like, I just want to say a quick little prayer that may we all be standing in our highest timeline. May we clear all the blocks that are in our path, let the paths to our greatest desires and what our heart, body, gut, mind wants us to be in, let it just be easy and flow. And and that's something I just want to add to this is I'm hosting another Reiki event, and it's Reiki specifically with the intention of supporting you around your money and manifestations. So that's happening March 13th. It is from 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We come together, we do a little journaling, we do some visualizing, I channel Reiki to the group, and then with the intentions, like, Reiki goes to where it needs to go, but the intentions towards money and manifestations it can work wonders. And I've had some pretty awesome breakthroughs come out of doing that just a few times for myself. You can read about it in the link below. Yeah,
Violet's Reiki is amazing and very powerful. I've experienced it both in person and through the ether of the internet, and it's super effective and awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So awesome, good things coming up. We have another Sacred Business Mastermind coming up too. I didn't promote it on the podcast, but I don't know when the next one is. It's going to be every month. We just had one. We're going to have our next one in March. Tara should be there. She was in the last one, and she helped me write everything that was in the Eventbrite and the copy, and helped me kind of formulate and narrow down the words, which I'm super grateful for. So the date for the next one is coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, reach out to Tara, even if it's just to like connect, say hi, and make new awesome conscious friends. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm grateful you're in my life.
Likewise.
For more guided meditations, soulful conversations, and conscious content launched weekly, please follow the Magic Lighthouse wherever you listen to podcasts. See you next week.